Ukraine and and Europe.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Schatz.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. Thank you, Secretaries, for being here. I don't think there's anyone on this dais who would disagree that we are in a fight against global fascism and that what happened in Israel is Israel's 9/11. It causes anguish, it causes outrage, and hopefully we can achieve some collective moral clarity about moving forward. But Secretary Austin, I want to ask you about the post 9/11 period in the United States. It seems to me that that collective anguish and outrage and moral clarity converted itself into some bad strategic decisions that we are still dealing with in the region. And so my question for you is, what kind of strategic advice are you giving to your Israeli counterparts about avoiding the mistakes that we made in the past?
Thanks, Senator. Great question, and I have had those conversations with my counterpart. And my advice to them, to him, was to be thoughtful about actions and objectives and what they were trying to accomplish, and really think that through, because if you don't, then the consequences can be long lasting. And so we shared that with them on a number of occasions, and hopefully that has made a difference.
Do you think Israel has completed its strategic deliberations about what comes next?
I don't know for sure, Senator Schatz, if they have. Because I'm not privy to their internal cabinet discussions, but I certainly would say that from the very beginning, I have encouraged them to think about, what this looks like at the end of the day, what this transitions to, and really to begin to think through many of the things that Secretary Blinken mentioned earlier, because I think that's really important. If you don't do things to address the underlying causes of instability, then you create a bigger problem, or you have a lasting problem that will just go on forever and ever.
Secretary Blinken, let's do a thought experiment. Hamas, at some point in the future, is disabled. I think eliminating it's a rhetorical flourish that puts us in a position where we will never stop fighting against some offshoot, some first cousin of Hamas, some place on the planet. So let's stipulate that the objective is to disable them to the point where they cannot pose a threat. Who runs Gaza?
Well, I think we have two shoals, if you will. One is we can't have a reversion of the status quo with Hamas running Gaza. We also can't have, and the Israelis start with this proposition themselves, Israel running or controlling Gaza. That's not their intent. It's what they want to do, and it's not something that would be supported. So in between those shoals are a variety of possible permutations that we're looking at very closely now, as are other countries. At some point, let me be more precise.
Sure.
At some point, what would make the most sense would be for a effective and revitalized Palestinian Authority to have governance and ultimately security responsibility for Gaza. Whether you can get there in one step is a big question that we have to look at. And if you can't, then there are other temporary arrangements that may involve a number of other countries in the region. It may involve international agencies that would help provide for both security and governance. Ultimately, though, beyond that is what we come back to, what this administration believes, which is the imperative of getting to two states for two peoples. That's where you finally get the kind of sustained security that a Jewish and democratic state of Israel needs and must have, and you also get the state that the Palestinians are entitled to.
I think you're both being very thoughtful about this. I want to say that. But I think the worry that I have, and I've heard it bouncing around the halls of the Capitol, is that when we ask about what the end state is, what I've heard is, well, we didn't ask what the end state was in World War II. We just went ahead and fought the bad guys and let us sort it out later. I'm not sure that's satisfactory in this instance. And I think the question of what the end state is ought to be wrestled with at least simultaneously, and in an ideal situation precede the military strategy, because what are we even fighting towards if we don't know what the political objective is?
Senator, I think you're absolutely right. And just to reassure you somewhat, we are very much grappling with that. This is a very active, ongoing deliberation both within the government as well as with allies and partners, including in the region. And everyone is focused on not only what's happening right now in Gaza, but exactly as you say, where this lands, where this goes, and in a way that fundamentally and materially changes two things. Changes the security for Israel and changes the situation for Palestinians who have been living under, well before October 7th, a Hamas regime that is in so many ways destroying their lives, misogynistic, repressive, and instead of spending the resources that it was getting to better the lives of Palestinians, spending them instead on building tunnels and building rockets so that it could attack Israel. We need to see a fundamental change in the circumstance of Palestinians living in Gaza, and we need to see a fundamental change, I think, in the circumstance for Palestinians that gets to a state of their own.
Thank you.